All right, NFL Week 15 Monday Night Football doubleheader. Technically, it's not a doubleheader. They tip off 30 minutes apart from each other, but I'm going to break down how I'm betting both these Monday Night Football games, starting with the first game, Bears-Vikings. They just played 3 weeks ago in Chicago in a game where the Vikings led by double digits with a minute left. Game looked like it was over. Then the Bears scored a touchdown, converted the 2 point conversion, then recovered the ensuing onside kick. They forced overtime. Vikings ended up winning in OT by a field goal, resulting in a push. Now, 3 weeks later, the Minnesota Vikings are touchdown favorites, which normally would be a pretty big adjustment for just a venue change, but a lot has happened since that meeting 3 weeks ago. The Bears have been downgraded in my power ratings, and I actually show line value on the Vikings as I make them almost 8 point favorites in this game. I keep waiting for Sam Darnold to come back to earth, but then again, I mean, he's got Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, a great offensive line, and Kevin O'Connell scheming up plays, so I might be waiting for a while. Uh, I have zero confidence in the Bears' interim head coach, Thomas Brown, to get this team motivated. He's not a legit NFL head coach. He was terrible with the Panthers last year as an offensive coordinator. They were a complete no show last week in a spot where you usually see a spark from the team after the head coach gets fired. If they can't show up in a spot like that, I don't know how anyone can think they improve from that performance, but improve enough to be competitive too. That's a big improvement. Of course, I don't think it's even possible the Bears come out as flat as they did last week, but that's not saying much. They almost finished with negative total yards in the first half last week versus the Niners. But the Bears just continue to come out flat in the first half. They're just 1-6 against the spread in the first half since their bye week. Doesn't help. This is the Bears' third straight road game, and it's the Vikings' third straight home game. Now, my initial thought was to bet the Vikings first half, but I'm actually looking at the total in this one. The total in the first meeting back in week 12 was 39.5. They combined for 57 points, so naturally in this game we see the total up around 44. But if we look back at that first meeting, it's a game that just got out of control late. 17 points were scored in the final 2 minutes of regulation and then the field goal in overtime. But a lot had to happen for that game to go to overtime and for 17 points to be scored. I think this game is very going to be very similar to the first meeting, minus that 17-point scoring flurry late. If you take that away, this game stays under. Bears have only scored 20 points once during this current 7-game losing streak. Their offense was terrible last week. Now they face a Brian Flores defense for the second time, where he's known to make solid adjustments. So I'm going under 44 in this one here. All right, now the next game up, Falcons Raiders. This starts a half hour after the Bears Vikings game. Real ugly one here. Raiders currently with the longest losing streak in the league. They've lost 9 games straight. Falcons have lost 4 straight games. Kirk Cousins has 0 touchdowns and 8 INTs in the last 4 games. You really can't comfortably bet either team in this game, but it's not going to stop me from trying to pick the winner here. Now, it's rare to see a team that has lost 4 straight and be favored, and the Falcons are favored by 5.5 points here, which is the most they've been favored by in any game this season, besides back in Week 7 versus Carolina, when they were favored by 5.5 as well, or 6 points, I think they closed at. Now, the reason why a team like this is favored is they're taking a huge step down in class against a Raiders team that's lost 9 straight, and 10 of the 11 Raiders losses this year have come by 5 points or more. Now, I really hate both these teams, and it's not because they're bad and on losing streaks. I just hate their style of play, their personnel, their coaches. They're two of the most penalized teams in the league. They turn the ball over on offense, and their defense doesn't create turnovers. Raiders are actually dead last in turnover differential at -17. Next closest team is -11. Falcons are at -9, which is the fourth worst turnover differential in the league. But here's my angle for this game. The Raiders have some uncertainty at quarterback. Now, as of this recording, they haven't even named a starter yet. Aiden O'Connell's all banged up. He was carted off the field last week, so it appears like Desmond Ridder will get the start, but Raiders haven't officially named a starter yet. Now, if you're the Raiders, this decision seems easy. You start a fully healthy Desmond Ridder versus former team in a revenge role. That decision seems like it will give you the best chance to win, but do the Raiders actually want to win? That's my conspiracy theory here. This past week at an award ceremony, Deion Sanders was telling Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce to draft his son Shador Sanders. He had the mic and he was like, I need you to draft Shador. And then when you combine that with all this talk about how Antonio Pierce hasn't had a real fair evaluation as a head coach without having a quarterback to compete with in this division with, Mahomes and Herbert. So in other words, the Raiders really need the number one pick. They need a quarterback. I know people say Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce is coaching for his job and needs to win, but I think he already has job security because the Raiders team is so poor. They have so much dead money on the payroll. The Raiders can't even go after another coach, and I think they're gonna keep Pierce through next year. And I don't believe in the players on the field ever tanking, but I do believe the front office and coaches can make decisions to lessen the team's chances of winning on the field, like maybe starting a less than healthy quarterback in Aiden O'Connell instead of a fully healthy Desmond Ridder against his former team who might play inspired. We've seen Antonio Pierce kicking field goals, 2 touchdowns deficits in the second half. Now, I personally don't think there's a difference between O'Connell and Ridder, assuming they're at full strength, but O'Connell is on one leg, still has the hand injury. If Ridder starts this game, it tells me the Raiders are trying to win, but if they roll out Aiden O'Connell all banged up, then the Raiders are absolutely tanking, and I'm all over the Falcons in this one. If it's Ridder, I'm going to take the Raiders. It's a pick your poison bet here. For access to all my bets that I make and bets from the network of pro betting groups that I have arrangements with, join the Betting Network Discord community. It's free to join, but you'll get limited access. You can pay $50 for 90 days of pro membership, which gives you full access to all the channels, features, and tools. Any questions, let me know in the comment section. Hope to see some of you in the Discord. Until next time, good luck with your bets.